Unfaithful wife who vanished now seeks return after her lover's death. My wife and I, we were high school sweethearts. 16 years of marriage, 3 incredible daughters, 15, 13, and 11. Our life was normal. Happy even. Then, 3 days ago, everything exploded. My wife came home from work, frantic, crying. Our oldest saw her. She just threw some clothes into an overnight bag, completely distraught, and wouldn't say a word. Just tears. She said she was almost in a panic, and then she was gone. Just like that. For 3 days, nothing. No calls, no texts back. Just silence. My heart was in my throat. I called her parents, desperate. They said she was safe with them, asked for patience and understanding. Patience? Understanding? While my world fell apart. Her sister, her brother, her work friend, nobody knew anything concrete. Her work friend just said she was at the office in the morning, then vanished by lunch. It was absolute hell. 3 days, no contact. Not even with our girls. Can you imagine? My daughters looking up at me, their eyes full of questions. What happened with Mom? Did you guys have a big fight? Are you getting divorced? And all I could say was, she's at Grandma and Grandpa's. We just need to be patient. They thought we were divorcing. We never fought. Never. I was a wreck. Sitting there in limbo, imagining every terrible scenario. My mind raced. If someone had died, wouldn't her family tell me? What if it was some old trauma resurfacing? But even then, I'd be the first person she would call. The void of information was suffocating. I wanted to pack the girls in the car and just drive the 3 hours to her parents' house, storm in, demand answers. I was worried, scared, angry, every emotion you can name, I felt it. Then the truth finally ripped through me. Following advice, I called the police for a wellness check. That decision, it opened up a storm. A hurricane. My wife had been having an affair. For at least 2 years. Probably longer. The other man, her affair partner, he'd had a heart attack on Tuesday. He died that night. My mother-in-law and likely her sister had known. They'd been covering for her. It was like being punched in the gut. All of you, the strangers who had tried to help me piece together what was happening, you were right. It was an affair. I just couldn't believe it. This woman, my wife, had been living a double life. And through it all, she still hadn't contacted me. Not a word to the girls. How was I supposed to protect them from this? I had no idea what to do. That news, it was enough to be the end of me. The days blurred into weeks. My D-Day, as they call it, hit me like a train. Not just a 2-year affair, but likely even longer. With someone she'd known for years. The sheer betrayal was a physical ache. I was a zombie, aimlessly navigating through the day. Nights were the worst. Depression, then raging anger. Sometimes both at once. Sleep was a myth. My brain wouldn't shut off. I met with lawyers, contacted therapists, long waits everywhere. I was trying to do all the right things, avoid alcohol, which I don't drink anyway, try self-care. But it was impossible. My wife was my best friend since high school. We had inside jokes, secret handshakes. Everything. And it was all gone. Just gone. All those years, every milestone, every laugh. It felt like it meant nothing to her. And now my future was without her. How could you? Questions would creep in, igniting a fury so intense I'd scream into my pillow, punch my mattress until my arms cramped. It was a horrible, endless cycle. I only slept from pure exhaustion. The girls, bless their hearts, they were trying to take care of me. It broke my heart. It was so unjust to put them through this. It turned out the affair was actually over 4 years. 4 years. A lifetime. I questioned everything. The pandemic, the lockdowns, how did that play into this twisted secret life? Then the in-laws showed up. Unannounced. My wife had been staying at their house. They spent a grand total of 15 minutes with the girls before pulling me aside. They wanted my wife to come home. And they wanted to convince me not to divorce her. To forgive her. To rebuild the marriage. They were visibly ashamed, embarrassed, but it was clear they just wanted her out of their hair. I played along, told them I was uncertain about the divorce. My lawyer had made it clear I couldn't legally keep her out of our home anyway. But I needed answers. For 17 years, for 3 kids, for countless memories, she owed me an explanation. I wanted her to look me in the eyes, tell me everything. And I wanted the girls to see that I gave her a chance, that I tried to handle it like a mature adult. I just wanted to set the best example I could. So I made a demand. I told her parents that she could come home if she sat down with me, looked me in the eyes, revealed everything about the affair, start to finish, answered all my questions, no hesitation, no more lies. And then she had to sit down with the girls, apologize, and answer their questions too. I knew it was a long shot. I knew she'd be hesitant to face us. My hope was to buy myself some time, some space. I just wasn't ready for her to walk back into our lives. My wife started texting the girls, apologizing to them, saying she didn't want a divorce. It seemed like the reality of what she'd done was finally hitting her. I knew she would be coming home eventually. But my demand, was it foolish? She came home. There was a terrible, awkward silence. A silence that screamed. I used to greet her with a hug, a kiss. This time she tried to hug me and I just turned away. As if nothing happened. It felt surreal. After she settled in, I asked her to tell me everything. Again. And again she said she wasn't ready. We'd had phone calls all week, same result. I reminded her of my one condition for her return. She just repeated she wasn't ready. A surge of anger, so potent, so raw, nearly choked me. I tried to breathe, to compose myself. I failed. After a long, deafening pause, I just blurted it out. Everything. You've been having an affair for over 4 years. With your coworker. You planned on leaving me for him. You ghosted your entire family. And now you walk through this door, refusing to meet the one condition I asked for. I want a divorce. That's when things got truly bizarre. Her body language, her face. It was clear she had no idea how much I knew. Her eyes went wide. She just stood there in the kitchen staring at the floor. Not a word. Nothing. I was ready for anything, an emotional outburst, a teary confession, screaming, blaming me. Anything but this. We stood in absolute silence for what felt like an eternity. 5 minutes. The strangest, most awful 5 minutes of my life. I had prepared myself for every scenario. Every single one. Except for her saying nothing. So I just started talking. I mapped out everything I knew about her affair. My own assumptions, her meeting him, her sister's involvement, what happened during COVID. She just stared at the floor. The more she said nothing, the angrier I got. I fought to keep my voice low, respectful. When I finally ran out of words, another long silence. The anger turned to profound sadness. I softly asked her, "What did I do to push you away? Did you ever love me? Was he worth it?" Nothing. She didn't budge. No tears, no apology, no yelling, no explanation. Just standing there, head down, offering nothing. The pain I felt at that moment, it was worse than D-Day. I just stood there, staring at her, unable to move. And then it got worse. Our daughters had been listening. My oldest stormed downstairs, unleashing all her pent-up anger. My wife just ran. Up the stairs, locking herself in the bedroom. That's where we were. I heard her crying most of the night. Only our youngest tried to talk to her. The rest of us avoided her like the plague. I wanted her to leave, to stay with her sister until the divorce. But this was still her home. Cohabitating with her now was pure misery. I had been so wrong. About her. About us. I truly believed she would drop to her knees, beg for forgiveness, unload the truth. This woman once drove back to a farmer's market because she'd been given too much change. But we weren't worth it to her. I wasn't worth it. Maybe I never was. The house was a battlefield of unspoken words and simmering resentment. I just wanted to fast forward through it all, the divorce, the arguments, the drama. 3 months until school started again. I didn't know how I would keep it together. Weeks later, things were still a mess. I was trying to fake it for the girls, to say and think the right things. But some nights, like tonight, a wave of agony would crash over me and I'd lose it. Divorce papers were filed. My wife hadn't even hired a lawyer yet. We were cohabiting, mostly avoiding each other, except when she'd leave for her sister's on Fridays and come back Sundays. My oldest wasn't speaking to her. I was disciplined, trying to be short and polite, but inside I was burning. Then one Friday she was waiting for me. In the kitchen. She lightly grabbed my hand. "Is this how you're going to treat me just because I'm not ready to talk about my affair?" This was the first time she'd even mentioned her cheating. My restraint shattered. The girls weren't home. Every ounce of pain, hurt, ache, rage, misery I'd been holding back, I unleashed it. I screamed. I cried. I broke down. I told her how broken I was, the agony I felt every single day. I couldn't stop. She finally broke. She started sobbing uncontrollably. And honestly, made me happy. A dark, twisted satisfaction to see her hurting like I was. I wished I didn't care, but there it was. She mumbled apologies over and over, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry," was all she could say. I left the kitchen. I needed space. The girls knew something had happened when they got home. But I couldn't tell them. They were finally doing better. I didn't want to fuel my oldest daughter's fire even more. I hated it. I hated myself for losing control. Maybe she was trying to talk, but I just exploded. Despite all the pain, I found myself worried about her. Everyone had turned their back on her. She deserved consequences, yes, but she was still a human being. The mother of my children. It felt like a massive setback for me. I was so disappointed in myself. But then last night, just over a month after she came home, after the girls were asleep, she came into my room. She asked to talk differently this time. We went to the garage, sat in my car so the kids wouldn't overhear. And she told me everything. For almost 3 hours she confessed. I was up all night, listening, sobbing, raging, then sobbing again. She was introduced to him by her sister 5 years ago. He was a higher up. He gave her an in at the company she wanted to work for. Then the flirting started. Texts, pictures, then physical just before COVID. She confessed to her sister, wanted to tell me but buried it. She went no contact for a bit, but when lockdowns lifted he reached out and she resumed. She ended it a couple of times out of guilt but always went back. The affair never truly ended. She had handwritten notes. 5 pages. A detailed timeline. The lies, so many lies. Weekend trips with the girls that were really with him. Work travel. Traffic jams. Family issues. Shopping trips. All fronts. I trusted her implicitly. Never questioned a thing. And her affection? It never dipped. She didn't get distant. Intimacy changed, but not enough for me to see the red flags. She admitted she fell in love with him. Wanted a life with him. He was older, divorced, single, promised her expensive things, vacations. She fantasized about escaping family responsibilities. She grew bored with our daily routine. It was brutally candid. Mid-confession I broke down, crying. It was agonizing to hear. When she finished, she said she loved me, always had, and would do anything to save our marriage. It felt rehearsed. Disconnected. I've known this woman for over half my life. I know when she's full of crap. I kept my anger in check better than last time, but I still got a jab in. I told her he was seeing multiple women. That she was just one of many he'd toss aside. That seemed to really hit her. But there was one question I knew I would ask, if this moment ever came. If he were still alive and you had to choose between him and me, who would you pick? She hesitated. Then mumbled, "That's not fair." I pressed her. "Who would you choose?" "Of course I'd pick you." I pointed out her hesitation. "That hesitation is exactly why we're divorcing." She broke into tears. Sobbing. I was tired. So tired. "We're divorcing," I repeated. "We have a responsibility to our girls. We need to get along, be civil, be great parents. And after all the pain you've put me through, I hope you're a good enough person to divorce fairly, amicably. That would prove you actually love me." Then I leaned over. I kissed her on the forehead. And I said the last thing I would ever say to her. "I would have loved you forever." I got out of the car. Went to bed. I didn't sleep. A month later she was gone. My wife. She died by suicide. The house is silent now. So incredibly silent. The reality of the last few months, of her affair, the cohabitating nightmare, the final brutal conversation, it all slammed into me. I can't put on a strong face anymore. I can barely get out of bed. But I have to for my daughters. I replay our last conversation like a horror film. Every single word. I said I loved her, always would, but I wished I never had to see her again. I was hurting. Vulnerable. Tired. Of the apologies, the desperation. I was just tired. And now life, in its cruel irony, had granted my wish. My daughters are without their mother. My oldest girl, she's taking care of me, forcing me to eat, watching movies with me. The other 2 are back to school, sports, trying to find some normalcy. My mom and brother are incredible support. Therapy is a routine for all of us. The girls seem to benefit. But me? I carry this crushing weight of guilt and sadness. I can't shake it. I go for my oldest. I thought I was a good husband. A good father. A moral man. But life dealt me this hand and I feel like I'm drowning. I want to scream, "It's not fair," 1,000 times. I feel weak, pathetic, filled with self-pity and horrifically empty. Life isn't fair. Life is hard. I get it. But I don't know if I have the fight left to weather this storm. What do you do? What do you do when you're at your absolute lowest point? I just don't know what comes next. What do you all think? Have you ever had to find strength when you felt like you had none left? I really need to hear your thoughts.